everyone, welcome to my channel and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. So this is another episode in my deck review series, and today I'm going to be showing you what you can do with your deck when you first receive it. This is probably a video that I should have made ages ago when I first started, but I just never got around to it. So I thought this is quite an appropriate time to be showing you how you can initiate your deck when you first get it. Now it is very exciting once you choose your deck, and by the time it arrives you're very, very excited, and then when it comes to you really don't know what you should be doing with it. I mean, there's so many ways in which people initiate their decks, and when I first got my deck I smeared a whole bunch of sandalwood oil on it, and I was doing a whole bunch of things, and really it just messed the deck up, and I was clueless on how to actually initiate the deck. So this is, I'm going to be using the Secret Tarot as an example of what you should be doing, and this is my version of how you should go about initiating your deck. So you do need to actually set up before you do anything with your deck. And what you need to do is choose a nice quiet place that you can get everything done in. So some place where you can close the door, where nobody's energies are going to be affecting, nobody's going to be disturbing you while you're actually doing the initiation. And it's very good to meditate before you actually start doing anything, because that just clears the mind and it brings out your energies. So what you ought to look at when you're bringing a deck in, or what you ought to think about, is that this deck is like a person that is coming to stay with you. It's almost like you're adopting a child or adopting a pet, somebody that you have to connect with. So you have to make sure that when you bring this deck into your home, you are welcoming the energies. The energies of a deck are very much alive. They interact with you, they observe, and then they give you answers when you ask them questions. So it is important for you to treat the deck as though it were a person or even a child that you were bringing into your home. So therefore, as soon as your deck comes in, when you get it, it is a very, very good idea for you to welcome the deck. As soon as you get it, say, "Welcome to my home, and I hope you enjoy your stay here, and please feel comfortable." These are the things that you should say to your deck. And if you speak to your deck will speak back to you. That is very, very important, that you communicate with your deck. While you open these channels of communication between you and your deck, the energies will flow easily between the two of you. So like I said, when you start off first, you need to set up. So find yourself a nice quiet place where you're not going to be disturbed. Now, some people, I have a flat surface here, a nice table. It's comfortable. It's there's enough space on it. I'm not going to get my deck all crowded, or it's not going to get all complicated in it. I want it clear, and I want the energies to be very, very clear flowing on this particular surface. I always face east when I'm doing my readings, because I find that that it gives me the best answers. But also I feel that enlightenment comes from the east. That's where the sun rises, and that is why I face east when I am doing my readings. Now, some people light candles when they are starting the initiation, and that you can do that if you like. If you get a nice well-lit area, I mean, it's not really necessary, but the candle energy is good for dispelling any kind of negative energy. So by all means, go ahead and do it. I don't do it because it sets off the fire alarms, so I'd rather not do that. And always make sure that you get a nice cloth or some kind of it could be in cotton or silk, whatever you prefer. I like cotton. I'm not much of a silk fan. So get yourself a nice cloth and cover the surface that you are going to be using. And the other thing that you will be needing is a bell. The bell is very important, especially in the initiation stages. Now, when you're actually working with the deck. Some people even use sprays. I make my own spray. This is a clearing spray that I spray around. I put the recipe in the remedies videos that I've been doing, so you can look into that if you really want to make a clearing spray. And some people just burn sage. Now, like I said, I don't burn anything simply because it sets the alarms off. So you can burn sage if that is, if you can do it. So it's important for you to clear the area before you start doing the reading. So what you should do is, before you start even handling the deck, make sure that your hands are washed and clean. You really don't want to get any grubby prints on the deck, but also it's just a mark of respect to the deck before you start handling the deck. So make sure you have clean hands, and make sure that you have welcomed this deck into your environment before you even open it. So after you've opened it, now this deck is already being opened, so I'll take out the cards from it. So it comes in its box, and I'm going to keep the box aside. Now, as far as decks go, I don't really separate the boxes from the decks. I feel that the deck is very, very in tune with its box. The person who designed the deck also designed the box, so I feel that they are all part of the same complete whole. That's why I don't separate decks and boxes. And I also feel that the little white books are very much part of the deck, and you want to make the deck feel comfortable, so you really don't want to separate the little white box, the little white book from the box as well. So what happens is, when you take your deck out of the box, it will, it's usually in order. This is a deck I've used before, so it's a little out of order, but I have separated out the major arcana from the minor arcana. So take out your major arcana cards and take out your minor arcana cards and separate them. So this is important. These are the extra cards, 2 extra cards that come in, and the little white book. So you've got the minor arcana and the major arcana. Now what you should be doing is getting yourself a surface that's slightly higher than the, I've got a little box. You want the major arcana cards to be higher than the minor arcana cards when you first start off. And this is because of the premise, what goes on above goes on below as well. So as above, so below. And this is the concept behind raising the major arcana above the minor arcana. And what you want to do is, so you can clear that, you can actually spray around, which I have done there, just to clear the energy. And what you do is, you ring the bell over the major arcana cards and over the minor arcana cards. So this is to clear the energy and clear the energy. And you say, I bring down the powers from above to below. So whatever goes on above, you bring it down. And that is what the basic ritual is, to actually bring the energies from the higher purpose down to ground level, because the minor arcana cards deal with everyday activity. The major arcana cards deal with what the divine has in plan for us or in store for us. So when you do this, you are actually bringing down God's plan to earth, when you're actually bringing the major down to the minor arcana cards. So that is important. And after that, what you need to do is, what I generally do is blow on the deck. So blow on each edge of the deck to get your breath or your energy into the deck. So blow on the 4 corners, and then you shuffle the cards. And do this 3 times. So blow again and shuffle 3 times. And then you blow again, and then you shuffle again. And that's basically your deck being ready to be read at this point. So what you can do is do an initial reading once you have done that. So you have initiated the deck in this way. You can do the initial reading and ask the deck what it has come to teach you because every deck comes to you with a purpose. So you can ask the deck exactly what it came to teach you, and it will give you answers. Decks do speak, and be aware that the energy is alive in the deck. So you have brought your energy, you have introduced yourself to the deck knows you, you are now coming into tune with this deck. You ask it what it needs to, what it wants to teach you, and it should give you some answers. And what I suggest is the first layout that you do, you record it, because it may not make sense to you right now when you're actually reading the deck, but later on when you go back and you look at it, when you become more in tune with the deck, you'll understand exactly what those cards were saying. It becomes very apparent after a while what they came to say. So on the initial read that you do, make sure that you record exactly what cards fell during that particular spread. So once you've done that, you can start reading your decks as usual. Some people like to get very, very much in tune with the decks, so they sleep with the deck for 3 nights under their pillows, and this gets the energies. It bonds your energy to the deck. You can do that if you'd like. So I find blowing on the deck almost being quite sufficient for getting yourself in tune with the deck. It puts your breath into the deck, and it gets you in tune with it. So I really don't sleep with my decks under my pillow, but you can do that if you like. So when you've finished doing your reading, it's very important for you to put your deck away very, very carefully. The most important thing about the deck is don't let anybody touch your decks. This is very important, because you don't really want other people's energies to be touching that deck. Now, people come with different kinds of energies. Some people have energies that are very vampire-like, where they draw energy from anything they touch. Some people deposit energy on everything they touch, and you really don't want either of those things happening. So, if it's somebody else, not you, touching the deck, they could be pulling positive energies from the deck, and some people, when they touch the decks, could be leaving some negative energy signatures on the deck. So don't let anybody touch your deck. It's important for you to keep these energies very sacred and keep them very isolated from everybody else. So when you're finished reading your deck, it is important for you to keep this deck in a nice place. Now, what you can do is you can put the deck right back in the box again. So this is what I really do, is put my decks back into my boxes. I do thank the deck after I have read it, because this is a living energy, and you do need to show gratitude to the deck. And just saying a simple thank you it's not going to hurt you, and it might seem a bit silly, but it actually is very, very important for you to show respect to the deck. So I always thank my decks after I've read, and I do say thank you for the reading that you have given me, and thank you for giving me the messages that you have. So that is important when you are finished doing the reading. So put it right back into its box. Don't throw the box away, and keep the box very safe. If there's any chance of the box ripping, try and get it taped, but keep the box with the deck. I highly recommend that. I also don't particularly like cutting decks or trimming decks. I really don't like it. I feel like it's almost as though you're harming the deck in some sort of way. You're removing some of the energy, and I feel that the deck should really be intact when you do a reading. But I guess it's up to you, and it depends on the reader, it's themselves. But for me personally, I don't actually trim decks. So what I do is I keep the deck in the box, and you can use a variety of means of actually securing the deck in the box. So I've got some pouches. This is a satin pouch. You can get it in silk if you like. And then I've got a few velvet pouches over here, a nice comfortable size. You put the deck into the box, into the bag rather, and you keep that, you store it in that, and it's got a nice drawstring on it. If you don't want to actually use any of the pouches, and these are quite cheap, you can even get it, when you buy jewelry, you can use your old jewelry bags. That's what I use a lot. Get yourself a cloth. So, silk and satin are the cloths that most people tend to use when they're using decks. You can even use cotton. I don't think that there is any specific preference to it. The silk just means that it doesn't, the deck slides over it easily. It's quite, easy to store it as well. It folds up really nicely, but I'm not a particular fan of it. You can get yourself something simple. Any kind of material I think is appropriate. Now if you don't want to use a pouch, the cloth has got the advantage of that. You can wrap the deck. This is an example of it, so this is just an ordinary cloth that I've used. You can just wrap the deck in the cloth itself, and take an elastic band like so, and keep the deck in that sort of way, so the deck is secure in the cloth itself. Now the advantage of this particular feature of using a cloth is that when you are going to do a reading, you just open up the cloth and you open the deck on the cloth itself, so your deck is always going to be protected if you wrap it in a cloth. Now because because I have a dedicated surface that I use for reading my decks, I don't actually wrap them in cloths. It doesn't make any sense to me. But if you're a person that doesn't have a dedicated surface and you're going to be reading it wherever you read it, it's nice to have a nice surface, a nice cloth, so that when you open your deck out, you'll be reading it on the cloth itself. And you have to get a reasonably sized cloth as well, so that you can do the whole spread on the cloth. So make sure that the cloth will be the size of whatever the spread is that you're going to use. So that is important. So once you've so what I generally do is I put it into a bag. I'll show this, use this bag as an example. I put the deck into the bag, and I also put in crystals. So I've got an obsidian crystal over here. I put in a tiger's eye, and I put in, this is an amethyst. You can use any kind of stone that's going to be a little bit of a high vibration. So amethyst or clear quartz, anything that is a high vibration that keeps the energies in the deck, put that into your bag. The tiger's eye is really good because it's not only a psychic stone, and I will talk about this in my gemstones videos, but it's also a very protective stone. So a tiger eye stone in your gems with your deck is really, really good. Obsidian is also very grounding, and it is also very protective as well. So you put your stones in the bag and tie the bag up nicely. Now some people do go even one step further. So you've got the bag and the box there. You can get yourself a wooden box. So if you're going to get more than one box, more than one deck rather, get yourself a nice big box like one here. This is a nice little tea box that they had, that I bought, and you can put the deck in, and that will, the wood itself protects the decks really nicely, and you can, it's got a nice little catch on it, so it closes up really nicely as well. And that's your deck sorted out there. If you can't really find any of these boxes, because they can be a bit pricey, what I do is I've got a lot of cats, so I have got these nice little cat, the cat food came in the box, and it's a nice box. It's actually quite a very sturdy box. What is good about this box is it's made of cardboard, and cardboard is made of trees or paper that comes from trees, and so you've still got that wood concept going through it, or you've got that energy still going through it, the protective energy of the wood really, or the protective energy of the tree really going through the box. So what I do is I just take it and I put it into the box over there, and it seals up really nicely. It's a cheap alternative to getting a box. If this box breaks, it's easy for me to replace it, and it's quite sturdy. You can see it's pretty sturdy. It's not going to come and fall off anywhere. It's important for you to keep your deck in a box that is not going to fall all over the place, and it's not going to get squashed. So this is how I keep my decks. Now you can even get yourself a nice lunch box with a nice catch on it. I've got one here that I'll just use for demonstration and show it. Why I don't particularly use this for keeping my decks is because it's made out of plastic, and I feel there's no unnatural energy associated with this particular box because it's all plastic. Whereas with the cardboard boxes, you've still got that natural energy running through it, and it is going to shield the deck from any kind of energies that come in. So that's important. It doesn't really matter, about what you store it in. As long as you keep this deck safe, you can use plastic boxes on the interim if you can't get a hold of a wooden box, but any kind of wooden box, anything will do. Even an old shoe box is just fine. Try and get it in cardboard if you can't get it in wood, because you want that natural energy to be shielding and grounding that particular deck. So these are some of the things that you can actually do to look after your deck and keep it very safe. You can also recharge the deck, which is also a very good way of putting energy into the deck, by leaving it out during the full moon. Now, it's about 3 nights for full moon. You can leave the deck on the windowsill. Leave it in the box and just let it sit there in the full moon so that it absorbs the energy. And that generally recharges any kind of energies, or any of the negative energies get dispelled like that. Also, immediately after you've done your reading, I didn't mention this, but what you can actually do with the deck is, you can take the deck and knock it 3 times to get rid of the energy that is associated with whatever read you've done. So this is how you get rid of the negative energy that you may have accumulated, because as the deck reads, it does pick up the energies, and you do want to clear the energies before you put the deck away. And that is why you store it with the obsidian crystal and the tiger's eye, because you want to drain away any kind of negative energy. So these are the things that you can do to to initiate your deck, to store your deck, and to get a really good reading, so that each time that you come into contact with that deck, it's going to give you a positive reading, or it's going to give you a really good reading. And like I said, make sure that nobody is touching your deck. Once you have finished putting it into a box for storage, keep it in a very safe, quiet place. The deck doesn't like disruptive energies. You don't want it to be absorbing energies, because it will give you abnormal readings. So keep it somewhere quiet, somewhere dark, in a cupboard somewhere. Close the door, keep the energies out. This is how I look after my decks, and I hope you give this a try. And I hope you found this video very, very informative and helpful. And so thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave me some feedback. Take care now. Goodbye.